The sleek, silver spires of the Galactic Academy pierced the pink sky of Nexus Prime, a testament to the pinnacle of interstellar education. Beings from 1,000 worlds came here to learn, to grow, and to forge the future of the cosmos. But today, as the twin suns cast their purple glow across the crystalline walkways, an unprecedented arrival was about to shake the very foundations of this venerable institution. Zara Chen, age 17, took a deep breath as she stepped off the teleportation pad. The air here was thinner than Earth's, with a faint scent of ozone that made her nose tingle. She straightened her back, squared her shoulders, and tried to project an air of confidence she didn't quite feel. After all, she was about to become the first human ever to attend the Galactic Academy. As she walked towards the towering main entrance, Zara couldn't help but marvel at the diversity around her. Creatures of all shapes, sizes, and compositions moved about, some floating, some slithering, others walking on varying numbers of appendages. The cacophony of languages, from melodic trills to subsonic rumbles, filled the air. A holographic guide materialized beside her, its form shifting constantly between various alien species. "Welcome, Zara Chen of Earth," it said in a soothing voice. "I am AI, your adaptive responsive intelligence assistant. I will guide you to the orientation chamber." As they moved through the grand halls, Zara felt the weight of countless eyes upon her. Whispers and clicks followed in her wake. She caught fragments of conversations in the universal translator embedded behind her ear. "Is that a human? I thought they were just a myth. How can something from a Deathworld survive here?" Zara swallowed hard, fighting the urge to shrink under the scrutiny. She reminded herself why she was here, to prove that humanity deserved a place among the stars, to show that Earth was more than just a Deathworld to be feared and avoided. The orientation chamber was a vast amphitheater, filled with new students from across the galaxy. As Zara entered, a hush fell over the crowd. The Dean, a being of pure energy contained within a hovering metallic sphere, floated to the center stage. "Welcome, new students, to the Galactic Academy." The Dean's voice resonated not through sound but directly into their minds. "This year, we are honored to have with us a representative from a newly discovered sentient species. Zara Chen of Earth, please stand." Zara rose, her heart pounding. She could feel the collective gaze of 1,000 alien eyes upon her. "Humans," the Dean continued, "come from what many would classify as a Deathworld. Their planet, Earth, boasts extreme temperature variations, high gravity, and a plethora of natural disasters and predators. Yet, they have not only survived but thrived. Let us welcome Zara and learn from the unique perspective she brings." A smattering of applause, along with various other signs of approval from different species, filled the chamber. Zara managed a small smile and a wave before sitting down, her cheeks burning. The rest of the orientation passed in a blur of information about classes, facilities, and regulations. Finally, ARIA led Zara to her first class, interspecies biology and physiology. As Zara entered the classroom, the professor, a multi-limbed being with iridescent scales, looked up from his holo display. "Ah, our human student. I am Professor Zixtol. Please introduce yourself to the class." Zara stood at the front, facing a sea of alien faces. She took a deep breath and began, "Hello, I'm Zara Chen from Earth. I'm honored to be here and eager to learn from all of you." A tentacled student in the front row raised an appendage. "Is it true that humans drink dihydrogen monoxide to survive?" Zara blinked, then realized what the student meant. "Oh, you mean water? Yes, we do. It's essential for our survival." A collective gasp went through the room. Professor Zixtol's scales shimmered with excitement. "Fascinating. Water is corrosive to many life forms. Tell us, Zara, what other extreme conditions do humans endure?" For the next hour, Zara found herself the center of attention as she described Earth's varying climates, the range of foods humans could eat, and the daily dangers that most humans considered mundane. Her classmates alternated between horror and awe. As the class ended, Zara felt a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. She had survived her first day, but it was clear that fitting in would be a challenge. As she gathered her holotexts, a shadow fell over her desk. She looked up to see a tall, avian-like being with brilliant blue feathers. "I am Krisha," the being said, its beak somehow forming the words perfectly. "Your species is intriguing. Perhaps we could exchange knowledge over nutrition cubes." Zara smiled, recognizing the alien equivalent of an invitation to lunch. "I'd like that, Krisha. Thank you." As they walked to the nutrition center, Zara felt a glimmer of hope. Perhaps she could find her place here after all. The nutrition center was a marvel of bioengineering. Foods from thousands of worlds were synthesized here, catering to the wildly different nutritional needs of the student body. Zara and Krisha found a quiet corner with a view of the swirling nebula visible through the transparent dome overhead. "So, Zara of Earth," Krisha began, its feathers ruffling with curiosity, "tell me about your world's educational system. How does one from forgive me, a Deathworld, prepare for interstellar academia?" Zara chuckled, poking at the gelatinous cube that apparently contained all the nutrients a human would need for a day. "Well, it's quite different from this, that's for sure. We don't have holotexts or mind-linked lectures. Most of our learning is still done with physical books or digital screens." Krisha's eyes widened, the nictitating membrane flickering rapidly. "How inefficient. And yet, you've achieved space travel and joined the galactic community. Truly remarkable." As they continued to chat, Zara found herself relaxing. Krisha's questions, while sometimes amusingly off-base, came from a place of genuine curiosity rather than judgment. Their conversation was interrupted by a commotion at a nearby table. A group of students were clustered around something, their voices raised in a mix of fear and disgust. Zara and Krisha approached cautiously. In the center of the group was a small, quivering mass of translucent gel. It pulsed weakly, emitting a faint, high-pitched whine. "What's going on?" Zara asked. A student with metallic skin turned to her, its photoreceptors flickering anxiously. "It's Blob. He's a Morphean. They're supposed to be able to adapt to any environment, but something's wrong. He can't seem to stabilize his form." Without thinking, Zara stepped forward. On Earth, she had been training to be a paramedic before the alien contact changed everything. "Let me see," she said, kneeling beside the distressed alien. The crowd parted, some moving back in fear of the human's proximity. Zara ignored them, focusing on the pulsing blob before her. She noticed a slight iridescent sheen on its surface, reminiscent of an oil slick on water. A wild hunch struck her. "Quick," she said to no one in particular, "I need salt. Lots of it." There was a moment of confused silence before Krisha sprang into action, rushing to the nutrition synthesizer. It returned moments later with a container of white crystals. Zara took a handful and gently sprinkled it over the Morphean. For a tense moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the blob began to solidify, taking on a more defined shape. Within minutes, it had formed into a vaguely humanoid figure with swirling patterns across its surface. The Morphean's face rearranged itself, forming what Zara assumed was a mouth. "Thank you," it said, its voice a melodious whisper. "How did you know?" Zara smiled, relief washing over her. "On Earth, we use salt to deal with slugs, small creatures that are also sensitive to their moisture balance. I thought it might help draw out excess fluid. I'm just glad it worked." The crowd of students erupted in excited chatter. Professor Zixtol, who had arrived during the commotion, placed a scale hand on Zara's shoulder. "Quick thinking, Zara. It seems your Deathworld experiences may be more valuable than some might have thought." As the excitement died down and students began to disperse, Zara found herself surrounded by a small group of curious aliens, all eager to learn more about Earth and its myriad challenges. For the first time since arriving at the academy, she felt a sense of belonging. Later that night, as Zara prepared for bed in her bioadaptive quarters, she reflected on the day's events. It had been challenging, overwhelming, and at times terrifying, but it had also been exhilarating. She had come here to prove humanity's worth, to show that Earth wasn't just a Deathworld to be feared. As she drifted off to sleep, lulled by the gentle hum of the station's systems, Zara smiled to herself. This was just the beginning of her journey at the Galactic Academy, and she couldn't wait to see what tomorrow would bring. Little did she know that her greatest challenges and opportunities were yet to come. Weeks had passed since Zara's arrival at the Galactic Academy, and the initial shock of her presence had given way to a cautious curiosity among most of her fellow students. Zara had settled into a routine, dividing her time between classes, study sessions with her growing circle of alien friends, and exploring the vast, mind-bending facilities of the academy. One morning, as Zara entered the grand atrium for breakfast, she noticed an unusual buzz of excitement. Holographic announcements flickered in the air, their shifting alien script translated by her earpiece. Attention all students. The annual Cosmic Conundrum competition is now open for registration. Test your problem-solving skills against the best minds in the galaxy. Krisha glided up beside Zara, its blue feathers ruffled with excitement. Zara, are you going to enter the Cosmic Conundrum? It's the most prestigious academic event of the year. Zara hesitated, her spoonful of nutrient gel pausing halfway to her mouth. I'm not sure, Krisha. I've only been here a few weeks. Wouldn't I be at a disadvantage? A snort of derision came from behind them. Zara turned to see Son, a crystalline being whose faceted body shimmered with barely concealed disdain. A disadvantage. That's putting it mildly, Earthling. The Cosmic Conundrum requires intelligence beyond your primitive comprehension. Why did you stick to what you're good at, surviving? Zara felt her cheeks burn, a mix of embarrassment and anger rising within her. Before she could respond, another voice chimed in. Perhaps Khan is afraid of a little competition from our Deathworld friend. The speaker was Zog, a being composed of swirling gases contained within a transparent humanoid shell. Zara had noticed Zog before. They tended to keep to themselves, rarely interacting with other students. Xon's crystalline form vibrated with indignation. Afraid of a human. Don't be absurd, Zog. I simply don't want to see the competition's standards lowered to accommodate lesser beings. With that, Xon stalked off, their crystalline feet clinking against the floor. Zara turned to Zog, a grateful smile on her face. Thanks for standing up for me. Zog's gaseous form swirled faster, which Zara had learned was their equivalent of a shrug. Xon's arrogance clouds their judgment. The universe is vast and full of surprises. Who's to say what a human mind might achieve? As Zog drifted away, Zara made a decision. She turned to Krisha, determination glinting in her eyes. You know what? I think I will enter the Cosmic Conundrum. It's time to show everyone what a Deathworlder can do. The next few weeks were a blur of preparation. Zara divided her time between her regular studies and preparing for the competition. She pored over galactic history, studied esoteric alien sciences, and practiced mind-bending logic puzzles from 100 different worlds. Her friends rallied around her. Krisha quizzed her on xenobiology, while Blob, the Morphean she had helped on her first day, assisted with practical demonstrations of trans-dimensional physics. Even Zog, usually so aloof, offered insights into gas-based computing that left Zara's head spinning. Finally, the day of the Cosmic Conundrum arrived. The competition was to be held in a Hyperdome, a massive arena at the heart of the academy that could reconfigure itself to simulate any environment or scenario. As Zara entered the Hyperdome with the other competitors, she gasped in awe. The interior had been transformed into a surreal landscape that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Platforms floated at impossible angles, rivers of light flowed upwards, and in the distance she could see what looked like a black hole, its event horizon shimmering ominously. The dean's voice echoed through the chamber, emanating from everywhere and nowhere at once. Welcome, brightest minds of the Galactic Academy, to this year's Cosmic Conundrum competition. You will face challenges that will test not just your knowledge, but your creativity, adaptability, and courage. Remember, in the vastness of the cosmos, there is rarely one right answer. Good luck to all. With a flash of light, Zara found herself alone on a floating platform. Holographic displays sprang to life around her, presenting the first challenge. Before you is a dying star. Your task is to save the inhabited planet in its system without causing a temporal paradox or violating the laws of thermodynamics. You have 1,000 seconds. Begin. Zara's mind raced. This wasn't just a test of scientific knowledge. It required lateral thinking, the ability to see connections where others might not. She began manipulating the holographic model, her fingers flying as she considered and discarded dozens of potential solutions. As the seconds ticked away, inspiration struck. Instead of trying to save or move the planet, Zara devised a plan to create a Dyson swarm, a vast array of satellites that would capture the dying star's energy, gradually dimming it while providing power to the planet below. It wasn't a perfect solution, but it was sustainable and avoided the pitfalls mentioned in the challenge. Just as she finalized her plan, the platform beneath her feet vanished. Zara found herself falling through a dizzying array of shifting realities, each presenting a new problem to solve on the fly. She navigated quantum mazes, negotiated peace treaties between warring microbial civilizations, and even composed a symphony that could calm a raging space-time storm. Throughout it all, Zara drew on her unique human perspective. Where others saw insurmountable obstacles, she saw opportunities. Her Deathworld upbringing had taught her to think on her feet, to adapt to rapidly changing circumstances, and to never give up in the face of adversity. Hours passed in a blur of mental and physical challenges. Finally, exhausted but exhilarated, Zara emerged from the final trial. She found herself back in the main arena with the other competitors, all looking as drained as she felt. The Dean materialized in the center of the arena, its energy form pulsing with excitement. Congratulations to all participants. You have demonstrated the kind of intelligence and creativity that will shape the future of our galaxy. And now the results. A tense silence fell over the crowd. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing a ranking of all competitors. Zara's eyes widened as she saw her name. In second place, she had been edged out of the top spot by mere fractions of a point by none other than Zog. The crowd erupted in a cacophony of cheers, whistles, and other, more alien sounds of appreciation. Krisha's voice rose above the din. Zara, you did it. Second place in your first year. As Zara made her way to the winner's podium, she caught sight of Son. The crystalline being's facets were dim with shock and disbelief. Zara couldn't help but feel a twinge of satisfaction, though she quickly pushed the feeling aside. This wasn't about proving anyone wrong. It was about proving what was possible when different perspectives came together. On the podium, Zog's gaseous form swirled with what Zara now recognized as joy. Congratulations, Zara of Earth, Zog's voice whispered in her mind. Your performance was most enlightening. Zara grinned. Thanks, Zog. Your gas-based computing tips really saved me in that quantum entanglement challenge. As they received their awards, Zog a pulsing orb of pure energy, Zara a small but dense cube of hyper-compressed knowledge, the Dean addressed them privately. You two have demonstrated something remarkable today. The Dean's thoughts resonated in their minds. Zog, your unparalleled grasp of abstract concepts continues to impress. And Zara, your unique problem-solving approach brings a fresh perspective we didn't even know we needed. Together, you represent the best of what the Galactic Academy stands for, the union of diverse minds to tackle the universe's greatest challenges. As the ceremony concluded and the students began to file out of the Hyperdome, Zara felt a new sense of belonging wash over her. She had proven, beyond any doubt, that humanity had something valuable to offer the galactic community. Prisha and Blob rushed over, enveloping Zara in a somewhat awkward but heartfelt group hug. As they chatted excitedly about the competition, Zara noticed Zolg hovering nearby, looking uncharacteristically hesitant. "Hey Zolg," Zara called out. "We're heading to the nutrition center to celebrate. Want to join us?" Zolg's gaseous form swirled faster, a sign of surprise. "I would like that, yes. Perhaps we could discuss some of the more interesting solutions from the competition." As the unlikely group made their way out of the Hyperdome, Zara couldn't help but smile. She had come to the Galactic Academy to learn, but she was beginning to realize that she had just as much to teach. However, unbeknownst to Zara and her friends, their success in the cosmic conundrum had not gone unnoticed. In a shadowy corner of the academy, hidden from prying eyes and advanced sensors, a group of figures huddled around a holographic display of the competition results. The human's performance was unexpected. One figure hissed, its form constantly shifting and blurring. Another, its voice a metallic rasp, replied, "Perhaps it's time we accelerated our plans. The balance is shifting, and we cannot allow these anomalies to interfere." As Zara and her friends celebrated their victory, blissfully unaware of the dark currents stirring beneath the surface of the academy, the stage was being set for challenges far greater than any cosmic conundrum. As the night wore on, the jubilant laughter of Zara and her companions echoed through the academy's ancient halls. Their triumph over Professor Blacktone's seemingly impossible riddle had earned them not just accolades, but a newfound confidence in their abilities. Zara, her emerald eyes twinkling with mischief, raised her glass of sparkling juice. "To us," she declared, her voice carrying a hint of the power that lay dormant within her, "the cosmic conundrum conquerors." Her friends cheered, clinking their glasses together. There was Ely, the brilliant but anxious prodigy, his fingers still stained with the chalk dust from their furious calculations. Mira, whose intuitive grasp of quantum mechanics had been the key to unlocking the final piece of the puzzle, sat cross-legged on a plush armchair, a contented smile playing on her lips. And then there was Caden, the group's resident skeptic, whose sharp questions had kept them grounded throughout their ordeal. Little did they know that their success had sent ripples through the very fabric of reality. Deep beneath the Academy's foundations, in chambers forgotten by time and shielded from prying eyes, ancient mechanisms whirred to life. Runes etched into weathered stone began to glow with an eerie, pulsating light. In his private office, Headmaster Thorne's weathered face was illuminated by the soft glow of a holographic display. The lines around his eyes deepened as he studied the readings with growing concern. He had always known this day might come, had hoped against hope that it wouldn't be during his tenure. But the signs were unmistakable. The veil was thinning. With a heavy sigh, Thorne reached for the secure comlink. It was time to convene the Council of Guardians. The children had unknowingly set in motion events that would challenge not just their understanding of the cosmos, but the very nature of reality itself. As Zara laughed at one of Ellie's rare jokes, a chill ran down her spine. For just a moment, the shadows in the corner of the room seemed to deepen, to move with a life of their own. She blinked, and the moment passed. But a seed of unease had been planted, a whisper of the trials to come. The night of celebration would soon give way to a dawn filled with questions, discoveries, and dangers beyond imagining. The true test of Zara and her friends was only just beginning. As the first rays of dawn crept over the horizon, painting the Academy's spires in hues of gold and rose, Zara found herself unable to shake off the lingering unease from the night before. She sat perched on the windowsill of her dormitory room, watching the campus slowly come to life. A sharp knock at her door startled her from her reverie. "Zara, are you awake?" Mira's urgent whisper carried through the wood. Frowning, Zara padded across the room and opened the door. Mira stood there, her usual composed demeanor replaced by barely concealed agitation. Her dark hair was disheveled, and her eyes were wide with a mix of excitement and fear. "You need to see this," Mira said, thrusting a tablet into Zara's hands. The screen displayed a campus-wide alert. All students are to report to the Grand Hall immediately. This is not a drill. Zora's stomach lurched. In the 3 years she'd been at the academy, there had never been an all-student assembly called so abruptly, let alone at dawn. "What's going on?" Zora asked, already moving to grab her uniform. Mira shook her head. "No idea, but Eli's been up all night. He says the quantum fluctuations we were monitoring for the riddle, they're off the charts now." As they hurried through the corridors, joining the streams of confused and worried students, Zora couldn't help but notice how the very air seemed to shimmer at the edges of her vision. It was as if reality itself was struggling to hold its shape. They entered the Grand Hall to find it buzzing with nervous energy. Eli and Caden waved them over to seats near the front. Before they could exchange more than a few whispered theories, a hush fell over the assembly. Headmaster Thorne strode onto the stage, flanked by figures Zora had never seen before. Their robes, adorned with intricate symbols, marked them as members of the elusive Council of Guardians, a group Zora had previously thought to be mere legend. Thorne's voice, amplified by unseen technology, filled the hall. "Students of the Celestial Academy, what I am about to tell you will change everything you thought you knew about our universe and your place in it." He paused, his gaze sweeping across the sea of young faces before him. "The barriers between realities are collapsing. The riddle you so brilliantly solved, Zora and team, was more than just a test. It was a key that has unlocked doors that have remained sealed for millennia." Gasps and murmurs rippled through the crowd. Zora felt the weight of hundreds of eyes turning towards her and her friends. "In the coming days, you will all be called upon to face challenges beyond anything in your training. The fate of not just our world, but countless others, hangs in the balance." As Thorne continued to speak, outlining the crisis and the role the Academy would play, Zora's mind raced. The cosmic conundrum, their victory celebration, the shadows that had seemed to move, it all began to take on new, terrifying significance. She caught Ellie's eye, saw the same mix of terror and determination reflected there. Whatever was coming, they would face it together. Little did they know that at that very moment, in a dimension just out of phase with their own, dark forces were already gathering, drawn by the scent of a weakening veil and the promise of worlds ripe for conquest. The real test was about to begin.